adjournment. Through the ordinance very carefully.
Here?
Front setback was missing, so
I think you're gonna end up, somebody asked me about that.
correcting a mistake.
I was telling, I was on, if I was using that bridge, so if I turn back off, I didn't want to.
Yeah, I just take mine off.
Somebody called me.
Hey, Melissa. Good. How are you?
And,
Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so I will go ahead and call the Planning Commission meeting of September 7th, 2021 to order. Ms. Callum, can we do a roll call? Here?
Here.
Here.
Thank you very much. And we did have proper notification and posting of the agenda. Thank you, ma'am. C on our agenda this evening would be adoption of the agenda that was sent out ahead of time by staff. Thank you, Ms. Sarah Lynn.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add one item to our agenda this evening to discuss the public meeting for the comprehensive plan that's scheduled for September 23rd.
Okay. Unless there are objections, we will do that under item Roman numeral 4, discussion items. Is there any objections to adding that to the agenda? Hearing none, so ordered. And we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, approval of the minutes from our August 2nd, 2021 meeting, which were included in our packet.
I make a motion that the minutes be approved as presented.
There is one correction that I did not pick up on, but somebody let me know about. Under the action item, Roman numeral 2, the applicant from last month, who is also here this evening, the address was shown in the minutes as 109 Main Street, and I believe that should reflect to be located along Langford Road. That's the only correction I saw, but other than, with that correction, would you amend your motion, Mr. Kessler?
Okay, the change has been made?
Yep.
Okay, with the change made is in relationship to the 10.4 acres, I recommend approval of the minutes as presented.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, and we're going to go ahead and move on to Roman numeral 2. I would like to recognize Mr. Donald Brock, who's here, Town Councilman. Thank you for joining the Planning Commission meeting. Won't be quite as exciting as a Town Council meeting, but we do our best.
You never know.
Never know. Citizens' testimony regarding action items. No one signed up to speak. However, if anyone would like to speak at the appropriate time, the chair will recognize them without any problems. So we'll move on to Roman numeral number 3, action items. Zoning map amendment 2021-2-MA. And Mr. Williamson, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This property is located on Langford Road, tax map number 17800-01-01. It's at 10.4 acres, currently zoned rural. The applicant is requesting to zone it to multi-neighborhood commercial and architectural overlay district. The future land use map has it in an activity center, and this requested zoning district is compatible with the future land use map.
Thank you, sir. Questions from council? This was the same application that was before us last month.
Is the applicant here?
He is.
Can we hear
McLean?
can we hear from you as far as your intentions?
Hi there, I'm Jim McLean, one of the partial owners of the property over here. This is my nephew Neil McLean, and we're here tonight. And want to apologize for the meeting last month. There was a little confusion about the not being on the agenda, but we're here tonight to answer any questions that you have.
Certainly appreciate you being here.
Yeah, the property is right next to the Pekin Field, which is right next to the town park. It is really about a golf ball drive from here. In fact, if you look out the window, you can see the beginning of the tree lines. And essentially what we are doing is asking for the zoning change to allow to accommodate some professional type structures that are over there. This is just outside the original town center and so forth. And we're also, it is adjacent to Pecan Field, which has, I think, a town center zoning on it and so forth. And this is one step, I think, down below that in terms of the zoning classification.
Is this something you and your nephew are going to develop yourselves, or is it something you're going to sell it and let somebody else develop it?
We haven't really decided. So we own it, like you say, then we're just, the initial conversation is just beginning. But do want to point out one thing on this. This is going to be our neighbor also. So this is right next to where we live, so you can be sure that whatever goes there, we'll have a lot of attention paid to it.
I don't take any objection to what you said, other than the golf ball drive. You've never played golf with me.
Well, I think you and I maybe played on some of the same courses.
Other questions from council? Or commission, sorry.
This property is also, will be subject to the BAR review, so there are a lot of things about it, I think, that would be, make it a good, safe bet for the town, and for us too.
Just as an observation, Mr. McLean, it's a very heavily wooded lot, if I'm not mistaken. So,
It's totally wooded, that is
so
correct, yes.
hopefully there'll be some efforts to preserve as many of those trees as possible as part of our normal ordinance.
That's our goal too. Obviously, to say this is, it's going to be our neighbor, so we're very, anxious to make sure this is developed in a very pleasing and pleasant sort of way with it.
So what do you have in mind as far as,
Professional buildings, essentially, churches.
I mean, what would be ideal, I guess, as far as neighborly wise?
Well, government buildings, one, maybe the Blythewood might need a new place for town hall or an expansion for the town hall, but facilities such as that.
Yeah, and I see, in the notes that it was commented with regards to an activity center, so I was just curious as to who would be an ideal neighbor in regards to what you're thinking.
Well, you've got, like I said, there are a lot of folks that live on this side of the tracks, and I don't know if you've been here several times when the trains have come through, and sometimes it's a very little slow order, and the backed up traffic, for hours. So anything that supports the folks on this side of town. From a personal standpoint, I think I'd like to see are establishments that would not cater to the interstate traffic, something that caters more to the town folks themselves. Small retail shops, but those shops, again, would be more catering to the local folks than the traffic coming in and off the interstate, essentially.
And there is certainly significant development happening across the street from
That's correct, right?
this piece.
There's property across the streets in the county too, so this is the kind of the last piece in the town itself. Neil, anything?
Other questions? And Mr. Williamson, I'm correct that this came with staff's recommendation?
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the zoning map amendment request.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the zoning map amendment 2021-2-MA as presented. Any further discussion before we vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And now we'll move on to B, Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Zoning map amendment 2021-03-MA is located at tax map number 15214-03-01. It's 0.41 acres located at the southeast corner of Main Street and McLean Road. It's currently zoned town center and is located in the architectural overlay district. The applicant is proposing to rezone it to community commercial and remain in the architectural overlay district. It is also located in an activity center, and this zoning district is compliant with activity center.
What would staff's recommendation be here?
Well, it's just looking at it from the activity center. It's compliant with the comprehensive plan. That's a about what I would say. That's about all we can say on staff's wise.
Okay. And the applicant is also here, Ms. Barbara Ball, for questions. Everybody familiar with the location? It's in our packet of where this is located, up on the screen behind us. I spoke with Ms. Ball earlier today, and I have here, she's had an architectural rendering of a possible building enhancement that would go on this site. I have it here and can pass it up and down if anybody has any questions.
Because a building already exists on the site.
Building already
correct?
exists on the site.
And then
Almost directly across from the academy there.
And it's occupied.
Any questions for the applicant here?
What's your timeline with regards to perhaps the enhancements to the building or? So what's your timeline with regards to the enhancements to the building, perhaps?
And staff has also included in the packet the surrounding zoning districts to the north, east, south, and west.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this second zoning map amendment, 2021-03-MA.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve 2021-3-MA as presented. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Thank you, Ms. Ball, for being here. Not that you wouldn't be anyway, but thank you. And now we'll move on to action item C, which is a text amendment 2021-2-TA. And again, Mr. Williamson, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is amendment of the ordinance, section 155.183. It's a section of the ordinance that has all the design standards for all the commercial districts except for town center. And as Mr. McLean and I were going through his application, I just realized that there was no front setback listed in the section, so this is really just a cleanup, but it does emphasize a certain aspects of these zoning districts, and that the staff recommendation is for a maximum setback of 25 feet. And the reason it's a maximum is because even though there's no setback, parking is still required to be to the rear of the building. So it would make sense to give whoever was building there some flexibility when they put the parking in the rear to build the building as close to the road as they can, while not forcing them to necessarily, but making sure the building is not any further away than 25 feet. So it's still gives that look of street front, pedestrian friendly, but with a maximum setback of 25 feet. So that's the background. That's the only section. So it's just an added line there to explain what the front setback is, and that's the only amendment to this section proposed.
How does that compare with Richland County like zoning? Is that about
25 feet is a general commercial, but I guess the distinction being commercial, I mean, when most setbacks are 25 feet, but it can go 50 feet
Far beyond
back.
that.
But this is to encourage building closer, but not restricting them necessarily. I think 25 feet gives them enough room, flexibility, because they are going to have to put the parking in the rear.
right?
It gives them some flexibility to build closer.
Okay. Questions?
And 25 feet still allows for ample room for sidewalk.
Oh, yes, yes.
I certainly appreciate staff recognizing the deficiency. You and I talked a month ago, again, around Mr. McLean's application. And it's on our agenda tonight to get it cleaned up. So, I mean, I appreciate it. And oftentimes, we overlook what staff does, and it's before us tonight to vote on, send to town council, get corrected. I don't want it to go unnoticed. So thank you, staff, for catching it. Other questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the text amendment 2021-2-TA as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, and then we added a Roman numeral 4, a discussion item, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Gorge to discuss the comprehensive plan. We had a meeting with the COG, and I'm sure he'll elaborate a little bit and set a public hearing date. Mr. Gorge?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm certainly not going to go into the comprehensive plan itself, but this is an opportunity to present to the public the progress that has been made to date, and to invite input and comments. The date is September the 23rd. It will be held here at Doco Manor, and the time frame is 6 till 8 p.m. The intention is that there will be a short presentation to get things rolling, and then following that, people can stay and discuss what's been presented, add comments, or just drop in during the remaining period. And again, recognizing staff's input to putting all this together, there will be a press release. There's a lot of preparation that's been made in order to provide the maximum amount of information to the general public. And we want to invite and encourage as many people to participate as possible. Clearly, this is a plan for Blythewood residents and Blythewood businesses. We're we're here to try and coordinate all that information and present that to council in a meaningful and achievable way. So this is a significant meeting. It's probably the only one before we get to discussing the full draft at town council. So this really needs maximum amount of exposure and attention in order to make it a successful update. Anything else, Sarah Lynn or Mr. Williamson? I'll cover it.
Again,
Oh,
as much as we can push people to the public hearing, the comprehensive plan, the rewrite, and to Mr. Williamson's credit, again, when we deal with zoning map amendments or changes to zoning, staff goes back to the comprehensive plan we're currently under. That is a good way to handle rezoning and amendments to zoning. And I would argue, take the position that we don't do that enough. We have a comprehensive plan that an enormous amount of work goes into, just an enormous amount of work. And we have to, as a town, through planning commission and council, continue to refer back to the plan that was put out to develop Blythewood moving forward. I mean, I can't say that enough. And again, the town stepped up and turned in 601 results to the survey we did several months ago. That data is being used in the comprehensive plan by the COG. So please, we'll get the word out. We'll have, like Mr. Gorge said, a press release and try to drive people to that hearing on the 23rd.
Mr. Brock wanted to make a comment, I think.
Yes, sir.
Brock? September.
September. Mr. Hastrock, just on that note, and I imagine staff has done it, do you have that date? Okay. So, yeah, we'll try to get the public turnout of more than just a handful. So, okay. Any other questions, comments? Certainly appreciate everybody coming out. Open citizens' comments. Just wanted to make sure everybody had the opportunity to comment that wanted to. And hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.